Hey guys, yay. Live webinar for iOS 14 starting now. Yay, woohoo, super important to have this amazing emotional video now. But now I would say let's jump right into the presentation of today, which has the title, one second. So, which has the title, The Full Funnel Strategy in the brand new iOS 14 environment. And what I'm going to show you today is how we can profitably scale and measure our Facebook and Instagram ads in 2021. As I said, it's going to take until 6:30 more or less. And if you still have some questions, I'm happily there until 7. So what my goal is for the upcoming session is that you have everything you need to know to fully understand the new iOS 14 environment and then to profitably scale and measure your ads inside of it. What I'm going to show you are the exact solutions that I'm currently, or that we are currently applying to over 120 different brands like ASICS, Tropic, The Power MBA, Engel & Völkers, Criteo, Bioderma, Havaianas, Conforama, and all of these brands, helping them to generate a lot of money with their Facebook and Instagram ads, which also brought me in this Forbes 30 under 30 list. But today, we're not going to talk about me, but we're going to talk about you, okay? Because I honestly believe that right now, February 2021, we're honestly experiencing one of the biggest challenges in the world of Facebook and Instagram ads. And I'm in this industry since 2012 already. And I truly believe that right now, it's not a joke that we are in, okay? I mean this serious. So Facebook and Instagram ads still work, obviously. Okay, it's still a great platform, but it's a real challenge that we're facing right now. And even though I know that many of you in this room are real ad masters, because you are inside our Ads Accelerator program, for example, and you've learned how to optimize for the algorithm, the right campaign structure, the right bid strategy, and you've been able to generate a lot of money with your Facebook and Instagram ads, but this might not be that easy anymore, honestly, okay? And the issue is not just the iOS 14 update. It's on a broader scope, the entire topic of data protection and privacy. Okay, it's something that we see throughout different channels, throughout different platforms. Also, you might know that the Google Chrome server is going to block basically the Facebook pixel in the upcoming months. Like they are set to officially release all of that in 2022. So we still have a couple of months to go. But what are we going to do if the Facebook pixel is not going to work anymore in Google Chrome? Well, there are some solutions that I'm going to present you today, but it's a huge issue that data protection and privacy becomes more and more important. And the first topic that we're going to talk about today is this iOS 14 update. Okay. I've already asked you guys who of you uses iPhone and who of you uses Android, and all of you guys who said iPhone, now is the moment that you can actually take your phone, please. I know that many of you were WhatsApping already anyways, so take your phone, okay? And I want to show you something, okay? Take your phone, go to the home screen, and then go to settings, okay? So this one here, like settings, okay? Do it, settings, scroll down, and go all the way to Safari. Okay, so you have like in my case it's like FaceTime, Messages, Phone, and Safari. Then I click on Safari, and if you scroll then down a little bit, it's going to show a section which is called Privacy and Security. For the Android users here, that's the one that you see on the right side of the screen. And you see that per default, already in this second, you already have activated prevent cross-site tracking, fraudulent website warning. All of that is already activated. And with one click, a user can already easily block all cookies. That's one thing. Then let's go out of it. And why do I show you that? Because there are already many things that are blocked, okay, for privacy issues. Second thing that I want to show you. Now go to your home screen again and open the browser, open Safari, okay? And then you can go to whatever website that has a little bit of traffic. Okay, let's go, for example, to adsaccelerator.com. This way you're gonna be in our retargeting funnel. Woohoo! Yay. No, but just kidding apart, jokes aside. So you go to adsaccelerator.com and then on your iPhone within Safari, on the left top, you see like two small A's, right? Which is basically the font, so the size of your text. If you click on that, the last button says, so you see translate website, hide tools, request desktop, website settings. You can click on something that's called privacy report. Okay. If I click on this privacy report, it's going to show something like that. How many trackers are actually prevented? And in my case, I'm on adsaccelerator.com right now. It says trackers prevented from profiling you, 85. Websites that contacted trackers, 71. Okay, and then I scroll down, I can see which websites, which trackers are actually blocked in this second. And you see Google Analytics, DoubleClick.net, LinkedIn, Facebook, Hotjar, Ads, Twitter, Taboola, Amazon, Outbrain. So it's not something that I just made up, that I just made up on my own yesterday, that these things are really taking place already. Okay, and what is this entire iOS 14 thing about? Well, the iOS 14 thing is basically about this pop-up here, which is going to be activated for every single Facebook and Instagram user in the next couple of weeks. In the United States, it's already activated. That's also why my sales in the US have dropped quite a bit. Here in Europe, it's still not that bad. Okay, but what's this pop-up about? Well, it says allow Facebook to track your activity across other companies' apps and websites. Okay, and you as a user have to say, okay, ask the app not to track me anymore or allow tracking. Okay, and that's also how it could look like. Would like permission to track. Your data will be used to deliver personalized ads for you. Allow tracking or ask app not to track. And guess how many people are gonna click on allow tracking and how many people are say like, no, definitely not. And well, let's make this already a little bit interactive, guys. What do you think? Like, just put it here in the group. Like, how many, like in the chat, how many people are actually really gonna say, yes, please keep me, please track me? You know, like how many people are gonna do that?
Only marketers.
Well, I'm gonna do it because, you know, I like to help the industry and stuff. But what do you think? Like, what's the percentage of people are gonna say like, yes, you can track? Exactly, 95% won't accept. I mean, we don't know. We don't know, guys. We simply don't know in this second. The only thing I would like to share with you, which is based on some statistics, is that in Germany or in Austria, Gernot, you know, that people really care about the privacy. And there is this big German newspaper site, which is Bild.de. Okay, they have tons of traffic on their website, and they have this cookie banner. It's not saying, hey, we want to track everything of you. It's just a cookie banner, really nicely communicated, actually incentivizing the user to say, yes, I accept the cookies. Okay, and so it's a really nice banner just asking for cookies, like all the websites nowadays, right? Everyone asks to use the cookies. And what do you think, guys? Like, that's a study that has been recently done in Germany. What do you think? What's the percentage of people that accept the banner there, that it say, yes, please put your cookie inside of me, put your cookie on my computer? And what do you think? Like, how many people accept? Hey, very good, Aiken, very good. So it's exactly, so it's 30% of the people say yes, and 70% no, don't track me, with this simple cookie banner. I mean, one thing is a cookie banner. The other thing is that you enter Facebook and there is this pop-up that says Facebook wants to track across apps and websites owned by other companies. Your data will be used. That's even less likely, I would say, that they're going to accept. Okay, so we don't know, but it's definitely not the majority who's going to accept it. And what implication does this have for us? Well, there are basically three main issues. First, attribution. Like imagine that you're running ads. Someone clicks on an ad on Facebook, on a Facebook ad, and comes to your website. And right now in your customized columns, you can easily see if they have bought, right? But this attribution is going to be gone somehow, because if you cannot track that properly anymore, if the user has interacted or not, it's not going to work. Second, which is something that nobody talks about, but which is a severe issue, is the optimization of the algorithm. Because if right now these broad audiences tend to work really well, right? So that the algorithm really optimizes for us to find the best audience inside a broad audience, for example. How is this going to work if we don't have these 50 conversion events per week, per ad set and stuff? If we cannot track these conversion events, and nobody talks about it, but it's really likely that the power of the algorithm is going to be less in the upcoming months. Then the pretty obvious issue, which cost me already a lot of sleepless nights, which is obviously retargeting. Like, how are we going to retarget someone, an iPhone user who said, no, don't track me, right? And they come to my website, they add some glasses, some red glasses to the shopping cart, but don't purchase. So far, I was able to do some dynamic retargeting and show them the red glasses and the next 90 days if I would like to do that. But how am I going to do it if I cannot track them? So that's why I said I'm not kidding. It's some actual issues. And it gets worse because we as Facebook and Instagram advertisers are not the only ones. They're also like, it's not just Facebook and Instagram that's screwed, so to say. There's also Google ads, YouTube ads, Snapchat ads, Twitter ads, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Pinterest that is equally affected. Okay, that's why I said it's a broader scope that we're tackling here with privacy. And guess how I feel? And guess how many online marketers feel? A little bit like this gentleman here. So it's a real challenge, a real problem. But luckily, there's always a solution, okay? And the solution that I'm going to present you throughout this webinar for that is obviously the full funnel strategy, woohoo, where we communicate different messages on different layers of the funnel. But before we go into more detail about the full funnel strategy and how to apply it in the iOS 14 environment, I would like to first get the basics right, okay? Because this entire iOS 14 update brings us a lot of actual steps that we need to realize in our account before we can enter into more strategic topics. And therefore, I've prepared my 10-step checklist, which I typically share inside my mastermind or with my with these big brands that I've shown you. And all of these brands and all of these advertisers right now implement this checklist. And I really think that it's going to be valuable for you. I'm sure that many of you have already realized a couple of these steps, but surely not all of them. And if you haven't done anything so far, I'm sure that this checklist is gonna save your life when you run ads in Facebook and Instagram. So what I'm going to present you today is not just based on my own experience and not just based on what we do with our client accounts, but it's also based on these official resources of the Facebook newsroom for developers from the 19th of January. And in these critical times where you have hundreds and thousands of gurus who want to tell you something, want to explain you stuff, for me personally, the only resource that I honestly trust is my own A/B tests and Facebook itself. So everything that officially comes from facebook.com, and that's what I trust when it comes to these moments. So what I prepared for you today, like the 10-step checklist, is based also on this official article from Facebook for developers. And of course, you can also research on your own throughout the internet, which is something that I recommend you actually, but always critically question the source, right? Where is it?
Webinar.
No, it works. So sorry for that. And let's continue. So of course you can easily find a lot of information on the internet, but I truly believe that it's not so much about information, it's more about insights. Okay, so really practical insights that you need to apply to your own ad account already today in order to make all of this work again, right? So let's start with our iOS 14 10-step checklist. I'm going to enter into more detail throughout the next minutes, and I'm also going to summarize it. And good news, you're also going to receive this summary you're also going to receive in the email automation that you're going to receive afterwards. Now, first thing, who am I to tell you what to do? But if you really want to bring your ad account to the next level, in the first place, you should pay attention to what Facebook themselves communicate to you directly inside your ads manager. So there are 4 layers, like the ads layer, the ad set layer, the campaigns, and the resource center level. Okay. And if you click there, and if you haven't done it yet so far, I truly believe that this is the first thing that you should do. Pretty much directly after this webinar, you should go into your ad account and check out the resource center, which helps you to prepare for iOS 14 changes. It gives you some information about here, some theoretical updates and stuff. But what really matters is this part here where it says tasks, okay? Actions that can help you prepare your ad account for iOS 14 changes. And here, for example, it says verify your website domains, which is already done in this screenshot here. Review pixels that will no longer have available conversion events. Review available conversion events. And what is really cool is these recommendations are action items. So if you click here, for example, it opens up more information, and it takes you directly to where you need to realize the changes. So I strongly recommend all of you as homework after this webinar, at least until this Friday, or if you want until this Sunday, make sure that everything is solved here. So these warnings are not just because Facebook is funny right now, they're serious. So you really need to make sure that all of these warnings are gone. First thing. Second, I think we all agree that verifying a website domain is now a must in the iOS 14 environment. And also because it says it here. And how do you verify a domain? So what does it actually mean to verify a domain? So basically you tell Facebook that you're the real owner of your website. For example, in my case, adsaccelerator.com. I have to tell Facebook now with all of these changes that this is really my website. And all of this is done inside the brand safety tab. Okay, so far so good. But for all of you who have already done it, I'm sure that you have also realized that it's not really in the brand safety tab. So when you click on these 9 buttons, you see like all of these tools and there's brand safety. But if you click on brand safety, that's what it is, right? And here you cannot do it. It's at a different place, okay, which is not so well communicated from my point of view, but it is what it is. So it's inside business settings, okay? So you just click on these 9 dots, you go to business settings, and then inside business settings, there is a subcategory which is also redundantly called brand safety. Okay, that's why many people, like we have thousands of students in our Ads Accelerator program, and they were pretty much confused because everyone says it's in brand safety, but it's not in brand safety. It's actually in business settings. Then you go all the way down here to brand safety, and here you click on domains. Okay, it's just a little thing that you need to know. Then you click on domains, and then you see there basically 3 options that you have. Well, first, you need to add the domain that you want. Make sure that you do not add www before of it or HTTPS, but it's just patrickwin.com, iTextile.com, or whatever. Then you click on add, and then you see you have 3 options: DNS verification, HTML file upload, or meta tag verification. You can do whatever you would like to do. DNS verifications, for example, you can do this in GoDaddy if you have your domain hosted there. But what I did, and which is what I strongly recommend all of you guys, because it really is the easiest way to verify a domain, is simply with this meta tag verification. So you just copy this little snippet and you paste it into the header of your website. So is it in WordPress or in Kajabi or in Shopify or whatever? It's the same way like the base code of the pixel, right? So when you installed the base code of the pixel, you also had to implement a small snippet in the header, and then on the different pages in the bodies, you could define like the different events, for example. And it's the same like the base code of the pixel. It's just this one line of code that you put into the header of the page. And once you have done that and refresh, here, unfortunately, one time you have to press F5 or refresh the page until it shows the green button. And then once it shows the green button, super important, which is also not that intuitive and many people don't do it, but it's super important to do, is to connect your Facebook pages to this specific domain. Okay, in my case, Patrick Wynn, and Ads Accelerated Facebook pages, because this is gonna make your life easier in the upcoming months. Then next thing, if you run the ads for a big company like ASICS, for example, I guess you are pretty much aware that ASICS is not going to let me verify their asics.com domain in my business manager, right? So how is it done with bigger clients? Well, they have their own business manager, and inside their own business manager of ASICS, they verify the domain, right? And then here on business settings, they have to share access to me as a partner. So to my business manager, to my business ID. Like now the domain has converted to an asset in the same way that like your ad account is an asset, your Instagram profile is an asset, your Facebook page is an asset, your pixel is an asset, and now also your domain becomes an asset inside the business manager. And in order for me to work with ASICS, for example, they need to share their domain with my business ID. Okay, that's how it's done. And third step, once we have verified the domain, which is super important, obviously, because it's also the base for us to be able to define the right events afterwards. Okay, how do we define these events? Well, basically, this is inside Events Manager. Okay, you see here it says Conversions API, you see Aggregated Event Measurement, and that's exactly where you have to click on. Aggregated Event Measurement. Here you see the different domains. For example, in my case, adsaccelerator.com. I just click on that. And then I see that there are 8 conversion events, which in my case is a big issue. Like in e-commerce, it's not that big of a deal, because what do you have? Like view content, add to cart, initiate checkout, and purchase. So you're pretty much fine with that. But in my case, where it's a longer info product, where it's a longer webinar funnel, you know, like I have one funnel in English, one funnel in Spanish, one funnel in German. So like right now, before all of these changes, I measured 84 events. Okay. And now I can only measure 8 events anymore. And here it's also interesting. Some people in our mastermind thought that this highest priority is like a category of 7 events, and then lowest priority is like another category, but this is not true. This is basically a scale, so to say, from 1 to 8. And 2 is more important to you than 3. 3 is more important than 4. So it's like a scale. And it's not that, so it's not that that's one category, that's the other. It's like one scale from 1 to 8. And here you basically have to define. So Facebook does that automatically for you. But however, I still recommend that you enter there and make sure that it's really the right way for you. And if you want to, well, if you're in the e-commerce industry, and if you want to keep using value optimization for some interesting reason, this is going to count for 4 events. So instead of having 8 events, you're just going to have this one and then 4 others, because that's going to count for 4 already. So far, so good. But let me tell you now, one of my biggest issues that I faced over the past weeks, which is something that I assume that also many of you have to think about, which is how many pixels can you actually have with one domain, and how many ad accounts can you have with one domain. Maybe let's stop here a little bit and get you guys also activated. So who of you has some experiences with that? Who of you knows it? How many ad accounts or how many pixels can you have per domain? Who knows it? Any idea? What do you think, guys? Gernot, Andreas, Mike, Jesus, what do you think? One ad account, 1 pixel. What do the other guys think? Josefa says 1. Kevin, Patricia, Christopher, Hank. What do you think, guys? How many ad accounts can you actually have per per domain. So in the past, you could basically have as many as you want, right? That's also what my account rep from Facebook says. She also said, well, Patrick, you can install as many pixels as you want on your website. And I'm like, okay, nice. And that's what I did in the past year. So I always measured several things, and I have different ad accounts for different funnels. And if you just, well, so many of you obviously know this tool, but if not, I recommend you to have a look at it. This is the Facebook Pixel Helper, which is this Google Chrome extension here. So it's a Google Chrome extension that's called Facebook Pixel Helper. If you click on that, you see exactly how many pixels I have installed. You see exactly what events I measure. And you can see that right now I have 2 different pixels on my domain, on my website. And my account manager from Facebook also said, like, yeah, you can have as many pixels as you want. Okay, great. So I could install 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pixels, and yeah, I could do that. But now comes an important insight for you guys. You can install as many as you want, but when you then want to define these 8 events, right? So these 8 conversion events, you can only select from 1 pixel, which is verified to the domain, which is connected to this verified domain. So in my case, you see, I have this upper one, which is my Ads Accelerator pixel, and the lower one, which is my Academy pixel. And both of them are green. Both of them work, so to say, but they do not really work. And watch out for that, because it's a real problem. So my Academy pixel is not connected to my domain because you can only connect 1 pixel to 1 domain from now on. And therefore, when it comes to selecting these 8 events, I can only rely on the one which is connected to my domain, which is the first one. And so from now on, I strongly recommend you guys to have 1 ad account per domain. Okay. But what am I going to do now? Well, in my case, I shared this Ads Accelerator pixel to the second ad account, and it more or less is okay-ish for now, but it's not a long-term solution from my perspective. So try to really structurally think in 1 domain, 1 ad account. That's what Facebook wants from us in the long run. Now, I've also mentioned that besides our wonderful iOS 14 challenge, we also are already entering the next challenge, which is that Google Chrome is going to block or prevent the Facebook pixel from tracking. And therefore, we need to do 1 additional thing, which is called Conversions API. Conversions API is a way that we track based on the server, not based in the browser. So guys, let's be a little bit active here. Who of you has already installed Conversion or activated Conversions API? Who of you has already done it? Andreas, the stage is yours. Please explain us what is this thing about? What is Conversions API, Andreas? And you have exactly now works.
Well, I don't really actually know how it works precisely, but I just activated on the web page.
Which platform do you have? Shopify?
We use WordPress and WooCommerce, so it's pretty easy to install it actually. There's this page Facebook provides you where you can select which platform you use and then download this kind of plugin. You just put it into to WordPress and upload it, and then activate it afterwards, and then I think verify it, and then it should be active.
Completely agree with you, Andreas. So if you use WordPress, so WooCommerce, or also Shopify or Magento, it's really easy to activate it. If you have your custom website, if you use platforms like Kajabi or ClickFunnels, it's a challenge. It can be done with Zapier. I'm going to tell you all of it in a second. But what is it actually? So what are we talking about? Like, what is that Conversions API? Any idea? Mike or Jesus or Gernot? Any idea? What do you think, guys? No? Gernot? What do you think? Your mic is deactivated, Gernot. You have to unmute and then, yeah, now it works so good.
Yeah, no, I don't know, Patrick. I have no idea, but
No worries. So Conversions API is also not so complicated in general. It's basically you know how the pixel works, more or less, right?
Yeah.
That you come to the
Yes.
website and then they track whatever behavior, whatever event you realized on the website. And the problem is, if Google Chrome and also Safari now say, hey, Facebook Pixel, we're preventing you from tracking, how are we going to track? So what's basically done with Conversions API, it's called server-side tracking or server-based tracking. So it goes one level deeper, because it's not just the domain inside this browser, but it's actually going to the server where your website is actually hosted. And there you can still install all of these things more or less easily. And because it's more or less what you pay the server for, right? And it doesn't depend on the browser. And the way to activate it is exactly as Andreas said, it's relatively easy depending on the platform you use for your website. Okay, so where is it done? It's here, well, in data sources. Okay, then you select, for example, the pixel if you want, and you go to settings. Okay, and here it says Conversions API. You could set it up manually, which is, which requires at least a little bit of programming skills, or you can set it up through a partner integration. And if you set it up through a partner integration, you can easily do what Andreas just said. For example, with WordPress or with WooCommerce, you click on that, and then you simply, with a plugin, you can install it, and it's pretty much intuitive. Also with Shopify, because I'm sure that many of you use Shopify for your e-commerce store, it's super easy. Okay, so inside the sales channel, Facebook, okay, sales channels, Facebook, you already have all of these settings like accounts, marketing settings, commerce settings, and data sharing settings. The thing is, per default, it's at enhanced, okay? And you need to change it to maximum. Simply, it's literally one click to data sharing settings and another click to change to maximum. And this will help you because maximum combines all data tracking options to reach the highest amount of customers. It uses Conversions API, which shares data directly from Shopify's servers to Facebook. This means the data can't be blocked by ad blockers. Okay, so it's a cool thing for us. And this is something I strongly recommend all of you guys. Next thing, the new attribution window. Okay, let's make this interactive, guys. I want you not to sleep here, but I want you to learn something. So what was the old, let's feel free to just type it into the chat box here. What do you think? What was the exactly, Maya? Very good. What's the old conversion window? 28 exact, but 28 what? 28 days post view, 28 days post click. Exactly. Correct. So the old default was 28 days post click and 1 day post view. And you could even go all the way to 7 day post view or even 28 days post view attribution. Now, I'm sure that many of you have heard it already. If not, that's something that you really, really should have in consideration, that from now on, this attribution window has changed. Okay. So the 28 days post view and also the post click attribution is gone. And also the 7 days post view attribution is gone. We can only rely on these three in whatever combination, so to say. So it could only be the click or only be the, only the view attributions of 1 day, view maximum, 1 day click, 7 day click, and the default depends on the different sources. But Facebook says, so right now in my ad account, everything that I create is 7 days click and 1 day view, right? And also when we had to change the totals show again, so refresh, to deactivate and activate, it changes to 7 day click and 1 day view. However, Facebook says also here, due to limitations around view through Signal, the attribution settings for newly created campaigns after prompt enforcement, that's what this pop-up is called, will default to 7 day click instead of 7 day click and 1 day view. So in the upcoming months, the default, which is now 7 day click and 1 day view, is only going to be the 7 day click, which is not ideal, but it's also not a big problem because you can always go inside it and you can always activate the view attribution again. And it's important because if you, for example, have to report your results to your clients, well, obviously your client wants to see some sales. And also even worse, if you have some performance deals and your client pays you based on the sales that you generate. And if you lose this entire view attribution, so people that have not even clicked, but have just visualize the ad on the phone or on the computer, well, then you lose like 20 or 30% of your sales that could be attributed. So it's a big thing. And in general, measurement and attribution is going to be more and more complicated inside our ad account. Okay, inside Facebook and Instagram ads, it's still gonna work, but it's gonna be a little bit more challenging to really track everything there properly. Therefore, what I recommend all of you is a really important action item is from now on, please make sure that in your ads on ad level, you use UTMs, like these UTM parameters that you can then in Google Analytics properly analyze. For example, here inside acquisition, you can go to campaigns, all campaigns. And as you can see, it says, for example, the campaign is here called newsletter or source or medium. And in order to be able to interpret that in Google Analytics, obviously, at one point of time, you have to add these parameters. And you could either just Google, in Google search, you can search for UTM builder, UTM generator, and you're going to see this free tool from Google. And basically what it does, it just takes the URL that you want and it adds after a question mark, it adds the source, the medium, the name, whatever you want. Or, which is something a little bit more advanced and also not complicated at all, and which is something that I really recommend all of you, is you just use the Facebook internal tool. Okay. So once again, we are inside our ad account not on campaign level, not on ad set level, but on ad level. Okay. And here you can define the campaign source, campaign medium, and the campaign name in the same way that we would have done it here in this builder, in this generator. And what I typically do to make sure that it really tracks everything that matters to me is that on campaign source, I put Facebook or FB or FB ads or whatever you want. I typically put Facebook there, and then I differentiate on medium level between prospecting and retargeting. So I put in here pro or red or prospect or read or whatever you want, so that you can then interpret it. And what I do recently, which gives me quite a lot of interesting information when I go to Google Analytics, is that my campaign name, I typically use dynamically. Okay, so instead of typing in here whatever, right, in campaign name, I choose these dynamic elements, which I typically take campaign name for here. Okay, but you could also use ad set name, ad name, or even placements. So is it Instagram stories, or is it this Facebook desktop newsfeed, so on and so forth. And this brings me to the next topic, because right now, what works pretty well is consolidating data points. And many of us in the last couple of months have depended a lot on automated placement. So instead of manually selecting the placements, you see this one here, like automated and manual placements. So many of us, you see, Facebook even says it's recommended automatic placement, but there is a new thing. And that's a quote, which is obviously not from me, but directly from the Facebook newsroom. You see, like the source is facebook.com/business/news/preparing our partners. So it's an official quote from Facebook. And they say, talking about audience network, okay, they say, we expect these iOS14 changes will disproportionately affect audience network, given its heavy dependence on app advertising. Ultimately, despite our best efforts, and wait for that sentence now, that's really, really heavy, that's really a strong argument. Despite our best efforts, Apple's updates may render audience network so ineffective on iOS 14 that it may not make any sense to offer it on iOS 14. So Facebook says audience network doesn't work anymore. They say that officially. So all of you who still spend money there, well, think about it twice. Like if Facebook itself in their official newsroom say that it doesn't work, why would you spend money there? Especially on iOS 14, okay? Like on Android, it might, you can still test it, obviously, but if you run specific campaigns for iOS users, then definitely exclude it. And this brings me really to the next big topic now, which is something that I currently, well, I've just realized my German mastermind this afternoon, we've been discussing like 1 hour about that. If we should split from now on all our iOS and our Android campaigns, right? Because Facebook was even discussing, instead of maintaining one ads manager, they were discussing of splitting their ads manager up into one for iOS and one for Android. But at the end, they decided to leave them together officially for user simplicity. My theory is another one. My theory is that Android is not going to wait for years until they're going to realize very similar updates like iOS did. So I I can be pretty bold with that I'm sure that 2020 is not going to be over. 2020 is not going to end until we see a huge privacy update from Android as well. And therefore Facebook decided, well, let's leave them together in one ads manager, and that's all good. But however, we as advertisers could make use of all the data that Android still generates right now. And therefore, why not splitting up your iOS campaigns and your Android campaigns? And something that I heavily test right now, especially if you split them up, you can easily exclude audience network, for example, for the iOS campaigns. And then the last update I wanted to share with you before we enter into more strategic details is step number 10. Watch out for your breakdowns. Save them as long as you can, because Facebook officially says delivery in action breakdowns will not be supported anymore for offsite conversion events. So we could now discuss what are offsite conversion events. So my warning is be aware of it, make sure to save your breakdowns, but I'm pretty, like many advertisers say that it's going to be gone, but I'm not so sure about it because it says offsite conversion events, which can be defined either as offline events or conversions that are not occurring in the domain that you have verified, which is actually what I consider to be an offset conversion event. So it's gonna be there, but there is a slight risk that you will not be able to break down anymore by age, by gender. So just to be on the safe side, what I did, took me like 2 or 3 hours, was just to save all my reports with these breakdowns. And I would strongly recommend it to you guys. And that's basically the summary of our wonderful 10-step checklist. First, Facebook sends you these warnings in the resource center for a reason. So go after them and make sure that you don't have any warnings there anymore. Second, verify your domain. The easiest way to define it is with the meta tag, which is basically just copy pasting the snippet into the header of your website. Then how to define these 8 events per domain. You could perfectly fine do this, especially if you have one pixel connected with one domain. That brings me to point number 4, the pixel management. From now on, I strongly recommend you to have one ad account with one funnel, so to say, for one website. Okay, so do not have any more like 2 or 3 different ad accounts that lead to the same domain, because it's going to be very difficult from now on. In order to prevent also the upcoming Google Chrome update, already make sure to install the Conversions API, which is server-based tracking, and the new attribution window is shorter than it used to be. Instead of 28 days post-click or even post-view, we can now maximum do 28 days, 7 days post-click and 1 day post-view attribution. And knowing that attribution and measurement is going to be more and more complicated inside Facebook and Instagram, well, then make sure to at least properly track everything inside Google Analytics with UTMs. These UTMs, you could either use the UTM generator, or what I do is I do it on ads level inside the ad account. And Facebook officially says that the audience network on iOS 14 won't work anymore, therefore excluded, and consider to split Android and iOS campaigns, at least included in your A/B testing, and try if it works better or worse for your specific niche. And in order to make sure that you're not going to lose the breakdowns and all the data that you already have, I recommend you to download and save all of these reports. Before we jump into the full funnel strategy, I would open up a round of questions a little bit now, guys. So any important questions, feel free, write it here in the chat. If not, I also gonna answer a little bit of the question that the guys have already asked in here. So if you have I think Akin has Akin, are you here? You have raised your hand. Where are you? Akin, are you
Hey,
here?
how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Okay.
Question.
It's just related to the pixels. So the server-side tracking that you mentioned before, I actually had that set up, fortunately, but I can't see any purchases coming from this, any server-side tracking fires of the pixel coming from anything other than purchase through the Shopify integration. So I did that on Shopify, but the page view content, add to cart, initiate checkout, and payment information, they all come from the browser, not from the server. Should that be how it is, or should it be a case where they're all coming from the server side?
Yeah, actually, that's a common issue that I also see with many of my accounts. So unfortunately, right now in my accounts, it's the same. It also sends one event. It only sends one event, but Facebook is currently trying to make that better which is not the best answer I know, but that's unfortunately what it is. The ball is in their half of the field, so to say, and they're currently working on that.
Okay, no problem. How's that?
A very good question. And all of the other things, Aiken, do you already have domain verified? Do you use value optimization or not, Aiken, at the end?
The domains are verified, yeah, and I don't know if I use value optimization. I'm still quite new to all of this. I'm just trying to figure everything out.
I would actually do it because in Shopify, what are the real events that you need? You need like a purchase, obviously, initiate checkout, add to cart, view content, and then you still have one left because you have 8 typically, but if you use value optimization, your purchase event is going to count as
counting as 4, yeah.
count as 4, and you still have 4 additional, so to say.
Yeah, I think I am using it. I am.
For Shopify, you don't need the page view event. It's not necessary to use it.
It's a very good question. I thought exactly the same, but it's simply not there in these conversion events, right? It simply doesn't show up there, and I don't know why.
Okay.
Like
I was doing something wrong.
Yeah, but no, it's for me. It also doesn't show up, and I'm like, of course I want the page view event. Obviously,
I have page view.
I don't. I mean, where do you have it? In these 8 events, which I
I do. Here? In the 8 events, I have it.
Well, then you are pretty lucky, my friend, because for me, when I like here, that's what we're talking about. Like here, when you, for example, select your pixel, you click on the drop down here, and then it only showed me like the ones I mentioned, but not page view, which was my case.
Oh.
Yeah, I have page view. I have view content, add to cart, initiate checkout, purchase, and payment info.
Nice.
But do you have activated the value optimization?
Can you just walk through to where that is on the settings?
Yeah, it's at the same. No, it's at the same thing. It's basically this one here. You see? So next to purchase, you have value sets take up at least 4 event slots. If you just activate this one here, it's gonna reduce the other options, so to say.
Yeah, so that's what I thought it was happening, at least to me. Because I have it activated, I thought it was deleting me the option of page view, but I still prefer to have the value on. So.
Exactly.
I will check while I'm on mute.
Nice. Guys, in order to have a look at the clock, also, I'm gonna continue with the last strategic part because I promised you to show it on until 6:30. It's not long. It's like 3 or 4 minutes. And then we're gonna have Q&A until 7. Okay. So last strategic part. One thing. So there we go. So let's go to the remaining part of the presentation. Then we're gonna have open Q&A session. So there we go. Wait, that was not good. Let's go over there directly. So we have summarized already the 10 steps that I recommend you guys to really realize in your ad account. But how are we going to apply now this great full funnel strategy to this new environment? First of all, what is this full funnel strategy actually? So it basically says that you communicate different messages to different customers according to the current level in their customer journey. A customer journey can now also be defined by many ways, for example, into awareness, consideration, acquisition, service, loyalty, or also here in different options, or like this, but it could be pretty complicated and complex like this one here. It's going to be not that easy to communicate a different message to all of these different cells, okay, to all of these different stages. Therefore, what we recommend is at least categorize into branding, prospecting, and retargeting, and then communicate different messages, for example, on branding level, an emotional message, and prospecting a product or more rational message, retargeting scarcity, fear of missing out. And then something that I strongly recommend all of you is obviously make use of all the customers that have already bought and try to increase their lifetime value, okay, with loyalty messages, so on and so forth. That's the full funnel strategy, okay? And how to apply it with iOS 14. Well, in iOS 14 or this entire new privacy environment, I think we all agree that it becomes more and more difficult to properly track events that occur outside of the platform of Facebook and Instagram, right? So everything that is, for example, in my webinar jam or ever webinar funnel or on ClickFunnels or even with my Kajabi page, all of that becomes more and more complicated. And therefore, which is a strategy that I think should be the overruling theme and the overruling thought for the next months and also years, is to maintain the traffic inside the platform. Instead of stealing the traffic, so to say, from Facebook and Instagram and bring them to your own website, you rather maintain them inside Facebook or Instagram. For example, with Facebook, Instagram shopping, okay? So that the user really checks out directly inside the platform, which is something that in the United States is already broadly or widely rolled out. So you in the US, you basically see a Facebook ad for blue lenses or blue light glasses. You basically see an ad, you click on it, and they do not bring you to adsaccelerator.com or something. You just stay inside the platform, you check out the product directly inside the shop, okay? You have your credit card or your PayPal information already there, and also your shipping information. And with one click, you already bought, or with 2 clicks, you already bought the product. Which brings another issue, which I've just been discussing this morning with the CEO of Atzmorai, and he was just like, "Yeah, that's amazing. All of this is great, but guess how high the return rate is? Because if it's that easy to buy, there are many people that actually say, okay, I bought, I didn't want to buy, I bought for, it was an incident or whatever. So that happens, but it's definitely the right path to go in the future, is to really focus on maintaining the traffic inside the platform. Or is it? There you go. So any one of you has already seen this experience of really being able to check out inside the platform? Any one of you seen it or not? Yes or no? No? Because here in Europe, it's not yet rolled out, but it's gonna come most likely and this year already, and in some of our countries before the summer already. Helen, where are you, Helen? How are you here? Helen, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect. So explain us your experience. How was it? Where are you from, and where have you been able to actually realize the Instagram checkout already?
Like when you see the ads and then they show the products, you can go on their shopping site and you can do the purchase on their shopping. Like you don't leave Instagram, you stay on their shopping site and can do the purchase basically.
Exactly. And that's completely the strategic way until we're and towards which we're going, not only with e-commerce, but also with lead generation, with info products and all the different industry. So maintaining the traffic inside the platform will always allow us to 100% properly attribute, right? Because there's no API where we lose traffic or anything. It allows us to completely retarget, for example, all the ones that have added to the shopping cart but haven't purchased, for example, inside this catalog, which can easily be done, okay? And it also allows us, or actually Facebook benefits us with lower CPMs. So we pay less for 1,000 impressions if we maintain the traffic inside the platform instead of stealing the traffic and bring it to another platform. So for example, my own website. All of this movement is actually called zero friction funnels. And as I said, it works not only for e-commerce, but also, for example, in lead generation campaigns, where this typical campaign type of lead gen, right? Below traffic, interactions, you have like lead generation campaigns where the user sees a form, right? So they see an ad, they click on the ad and it opens up a form. And inside this form, it's already pre-filled with the information that they gave to Facebook. And with 2 clicks, you already have their email, their phone number, their name, so on and so forth. And here easily you can retarget everyone who opened the form, but didn't submit it or hasn't submitted. So that's an easy way. And the last piece of information before we go into our Q&A session is for info products, which is what I'm mainly focusing on since 2018, because that's what my own business is about. It's really complicated to measure now with EverWebinar or with Webinar Jam because you cannot track there properly anymore. And what I do now is I apply a complete new strategy, okay, where I basically, instead of running a long webinar I have 3 different content nuggets, which are more or less usable as an ad. So they have a hook. So there'll be also an attractive content in push marketing. So when you see it on Facebook, Instagram, so they have a hook, they create authority, they show some testimonials, but they communicate a lot of content also. Okay. And these nuggets, the first one is only 3 minutes in my case. Okay. And I run a video view campaign to this nugget. And that's my first step. Okay. And to these people, that watch at least 75% of the video nugget of the first one, I show the second video nugget, which in my case is a 5-minute video explaining even more content, okay? But not yet even pitching anything. It's just about creating authority, trust. And to the people who watch the second nugget, at least for 75%, I show a third nugget. And in the third nugget, I pitch my product. Okay, but I also communicate more about some authority, testimonials, and content. But I start pitching my product, and then to the people that have watched the third video, at least 75%, I run a lead generation campaign. Okay, with this form. So instead of bringing them to a Calendly page or bringing them away from Facebook, I maintain them throughout the entire funnel. I maintain them inside the platform. I still have their email address, I still have their name, I still have their phone number, so my closers can get in contact with them. And Facebook highly benefits that with lower CPMs. So what I've presented you today throughout the last almost 60 minutes is everything that you need to know about this new iOS 14 environment. I've prepared this 10-step checklist for you, which I'm going to send you after this call, also via email. And you're also going to receive the replay. Most likely tomorrow, because it takes a little bit to export. And then I've also shown you how to profitably scale and measure your ads inside this environment. So Dankeschön. Here's also my email address and my Instagram. If you want more information to that, feel free to send an email. And now let's open it up for some questions. So guys, who of you wants to start? Who has some topics? Venga, Lucas, dispara. How can we help you, Lucas?
Hi, ¿puedo hablar en español?
Bueno, adelante.
O puedo intentar en inglés, pero no sé si se me entenderá mucho.
Lo que tú veas.
Pruebo, si ves que no me entiendes, cambio al español, ¿vale?
Yo te entiendo, no te preocupes.
El tema es que estuve hablando con Ana Ibars y me comentó que tú habías conseguido instalar el tema de Kajabi, porque llevo varios días con este tema, ¿vale? Entonces ni Kajabi me da una solución, ni he conseguido que Facebook me diera una solución, y Ana me dijo que tú lo habías logrado. Entonces, primero yo tenía el dominio de Kajabi, ese que es el típico .mykajabi.com, lo verifiqué y a la hora de ir a añadir los eventos en Facebook no me dejaba añadirlos. O sea, es como que no había ningún evento que añadir, ¿vale? Entonces, hablando con Kajabi, me recomendaron verificar el dominio externo y conectarlo con Kajabi para que no fuera un dominio de Kajabi, sino que fuera un dominio propio. Así que compré un dominio con el nombre de la web que estaba usando en Kajabi y ahora lo he verificado en Facebook y efectivamente ahora me deja, pero solamente me deja añadir un evento que es iniciar pago, nada más. Y al hacer esto se me han multiplicado por 5 los costes de las campañas que tenía activas. No sé si tú sabes si esto tiene que ver. O sea, aquí en la pantalla que estás tú solo tengo una cosa, que es iniciar pago.
Entiendo.
Nada más. Y no sé si todo esto es demasiada información, pero...
Yeah. No, está muy bien. Guys, first, let me translate also a little bit to English. So Lucas mentioned a really big issue, which I fully understand and I fully am aware of, which is, where is it exactly? Give me 1 second. Here, exactly. So when you have your own domain, like a custom domain, like adsaccelerator.com or patrickwynn.com, your life is more or less easy. But your life is very difficult if you have, like Anna had it with ClickFunnels, right? So af.clickfunnels.com or algo. And that's like, how are you going to verify that you're the owner of ClickFunnels? Or how are you going to verify that you're the owner of webinarjam.com? Because we are not, obviously. So not only are they already owned by another business, but on the other hand, we cannot install our meta tag inside clickfunnels.com or something, because it's not our website. So it's a really complicated issue. And the solution is exactly what Lucas said, like with a custom domain. Therefore, like for example, adsaccelerator.com is also hosted on Kajabi, right? But it's a custom domain. It's a custom domain, so it's not mykajabi.adsaccelerator.com or something, but it's actually www.adsaccelerator.com. And with that, it was really easy to verify. You only have now one event. That's tricky, my friend. Why do you think it's that, Lucas? I actually have not, like you haven't, it's not conversions API, right? It's like typically just to verify, because that's what we have heard before, that with conversions API, who was it, like I remember, like Akin said it only sent like one event. But why do you think that happens, Lucas? Why do you think it's only one event?
No lo sé. Yo es verdad que he comprado el dominio ahora porque no lo tenía y no tiene ni siquiera página, o sea, no tiene WordPress ni nada, solo he comprado el dominio para conectarlo con Kajabi. No sé por qué solamente me sale uno y lo que me preocupa no solo es eso, sino que además
el performance.
El coste de las campañas que tenía activas que estaban funcionando relativamente bien,
claro,
de repente ahora se me han multiplicado por 5.
Claro. So first thing, have you talked to the Kajabi support in the chat? Because they're amazing.
Yes, I speak with the Kajabi support and like 10 times in the last week, and they told me that in Kajabi it's everything done. Like they told me I have to speak with Facebook, and one day I can speak with Facebook in the chat, but the chat is not appear anymore. I don't know how to have the chat again, and I don't know what to do, really.
Got it. Any one of you guys has an idea to that? Josef, you're Thibaut, you're with us, you know? Like any one of you has an idea? What do you think, Thibaut? Anything
on
that
our
comes
side,
to mind?
we are using ClickFunnels, okay?
Yeah.
And we have the same issue, and Webinar Jam, and we have the same issue with Webinar Jam. So we will create on our own domain our own thank you page. So redirecting thank you page of a Webinar Jam to a thank you page custom, okay? Which we could verify and put the event we want on it. I don't know if I am clear, but instead of a webinar URL, it will be my domain something, and with the lead event I would like to target.
Yeah, I think it's a good solution, and it's also something that I considered. But what would you do now? Thibaut? Like Lucas has already installed this custom domain, so to say, right? And it only sends one, like only one event shows up there. Any idea, Thibaut?
Maybe because of the priority of the event in the funnel. No, because I read that only the highest priority of event is raised, but to be honest, it's not very clear for me.
So when you hear Lucas, it only shows one thing.
Yes, do you want to see it? It's
Why
just solo es I press the
yes, show
the
it.
pixel.
If you have it in front of you, I think it's the easiest. Because I actually think I know more or less the solution, because I think you have to work with custom conversions. You see, like just before you share one little second, like that's actually the only solution that I see possible. Like you have the pixel, you click on it, and then it inside here, it only has one thing. Okay, that sucks. But take a look at my thing here. Like I have only 2 of the events I have with my pixel, and 6 of them I have with custom conversions, which is basically just, if the URL contains, for example, in this case, /program, then that's an event. That's the way I solved it. Because in my case, it also only shows purchase, initiate, checkout, and lead. And all the other events, it doesn't show. So I solved it with these custom conversions, Lucas.
Espera, es que si estaba mirando la otra cosa y entonces el inglés no, o sea, si escucho, tengo que escuchar atentamente. ¿Me lo puedes repetir, porfa?
¿Sabes qué son conversiones personalizadas?
Sí, yo no las estoy usando porque en Kajabi me dijeron que que estaban como predeterminadas y como a mí ya me ha funcionado siempre bien así, no las he hecho.
That's the solution, Lucas.
Okay.
Esto es lo único que puedes hacer, no hay otra.
Vale, ¿me lo puedes repetir, por favor? Puedes decirlo en inglés, si quieres.
Se llama custom conversions. Custom conversions. So what you need to do is basically, because with one domain, you can put as many custom conversions as you want. Son conversiones gracias, Alejandro. ¿Cómo se llaman? Personalizadas. Esto, personalizadas. And that's, like for example, one custom conversion is, in my case, it's accelerate.com/program. And then I say like every time when a user comes to the page /program, for example, it counts as one event. And that's what I would do if I would be you. So first of all, good that you managed with Kajabi that you have this custom domain that you can track now. So that's already the big problem. The big problem is solved. Good. Now the other one is an easy problem, which you can solve with these custom conversions. Con estas conversiones personalizadas lo resolverás seguro.
Ok, o sea, si las creo, me aparecerán, cuando le dé a añadir evento, me aparecerán.
Sí, pero mira, lo que se tiene que hacer es esto. Mira, aquí pone pixel o custom conversions. And instead of selecting a pixel here, ¿sí? Haces así el drop down un poco y seleccionas lo que se llama, ¿ves aquí? Cuando lo cambias, te salen todos tus píxeles y abajo de todo te aparece custom conversions.
A mí no me deja escoger nada más.
Sí, custom conversions sí que te deja escoger.
Pero me sale como bloqueado y me pone no hay ningún evento de conversión.
Bueno, porque se tiene que crear antes.
Ok, cuando lo cree me aparecerá ahí.
Exacto.
Okay.
Exacto.
Y ahí evitaré que me salgan todos todas las notificaciones estas de alerta que me salen por todos lados.
Yes.
Vale. Y para el tema del por 5, ¿crees que debo hacer algo o esperar simplemente o...?
Bueno, what do you think? Like, to be 100% honest, Lucas, if the performance has really dropped a lot, I would lower ad spend in the next couple of days. I would lower ad spend. I would go really intense on organic. So really post a lot on Instagram, upload my YouTube videos and stuff. That's the best thing that you can do right now. Really focus on email marketing.
Is because of the data or it's like everything is gone away or
right now it's simply not the best moment to spend a lot of money on Facebook and Instagram. It's in this specific second. It's gonna be great again, obviously, but if you tell me like my costs have multiplied by 5 right now, like the first thing that I would do is I would lower ad spend and I would focus on the customer base that you already have. Make sure to increase the lifetime value.
It's just because it's like correlation between when I do the Kajabi thing, the domain and all that stuff, y que se ha multiplicado por 5, básicamente. Claro. Por eso no sabía si tenía correlación o es simplemente casualidad y ya está.
It's a really good one. Josefa, you also have your hand
Thank you,
raised.
Patrick.
A ti, Lucas, un abrazo.
Hi. In the presentation, you showed the conversion window that you could check like 7 days or 7 days post view. How do you get there?
Yeah, very good question.
Is it like for the dashboard for seeing the reports or was it, what is it for?
That's a very good point. And in the next presentation, I'm going like this, I'm going to include one more screenshot. You're completely right. So where do we see this? So it's exactly where you said you have like on campaign level or ad set level or ad level, you have like breakdowns and you have these, then the next one is like where you can see the different columns, right? And if you scroll, you can change between the different dashboards, and at the lowest one, it says comparing attribution windows. So that's what you need to search for. It's exactly where you said. So it's in the below the different dashboards, the lowest one is comparing attribution windows.
So I see. Yeah, perfect.
You have it? ¿Lo tienes?
Here, yeah, so that's the way of seeing. I have it in Spanish, but that's the way I can see. Because now with the iOS, I don't see my average, for example.
That's it. Can you share your screen if you want to?
I can.
Because I'm going to show you a little trick. So just a question in the round, like Alejandro, Alberto, Leonora, Gernot. Who of you has already, or Andreas, who of you has already faced the issue that you cannot see the totals, that you cannot see the averages? And how did you solve it, Alejandro?
Using parameters.
How did you do it?
Okay, so this is what I do. I always put in UTM parameters to every single one of my ads. So, and then when I send, I run lead generation campaigns. When I send the leads into the landing page, I put in catching parameters. So it will say lead from Facebook, add, red colored glasses.
Got it.
It would tell me where they're from. And then I don't look at the report right now the way that you're looking at it from Facebook ads or Google ads. I look at my report on the back end with my CRM.
Got it.
Okay.
It's a good solution. And for you, Josefa,
Are you seeing my screen?
Yes, I can see it. If you go more to the right, if you go a little bit more to the right, exactly. So what? It doesn't show anything, no? Only
No, it doesn't. So if I go to the particular one, for example, this one is conversion, I see it like these are the ones active, or for example, this one, this one. Oh, there. So you can see everything, but at the bottom, I don't see my totals and my averages.
Yeah, that's more or less easy to solve. Who else? Like Alberto, ¿ya has visto cómo se resuelve esto? No, ¿cómo se hace?
I did it by like filtering all my active ads.
Sí.
But for example, for the value ones, I have only one value, this one. It doesn't have 7 days and 1 day, so it's mixed, and I don't have like all the same filters, so I don't know how to do it.
Sí. ¿Alguna solución, Alberto? No, sí que puedes, perdona.
La puedo decir en español.
Sí, anda,
dale.
adelante.
Vale, eso pasa porque no todos los grupos los tienes con la misma atribución.
Sí.
Entonces, una manera rápida de verlo es editando las columnas. Abajo a la derecha, cuando las editas.
¿Ya?
A ver. En personalizar columnas.
¿Ya?
Abajo a la derecha pone comparación de intervalos.
Abajo a la derecha.
Ahí seleccionas los que quieras y te va a salir por cada selección una columna. Y ahí sí que no hay duda. Te va a dar los datos en base a esa ventana de atribución. Para
por ejemplo, este
todos.
sería 7 días. Perfecto. Pero acá no me va a mostrar todas las campañas que yo esté usando que no tengan esa atribución.
Sí, te las va a mostrarte los datos de todas, aunque no lo tengas configurado así, para esa ventana de atribución que has elegido. Se hace para eso.
Totalmente.
El problema es que yo también tengo el mismo problema, pero ahora solo vamos a poder ver 28 días y yo tengo que entregar reportes de los 30 días exactos del mes. Entonces es complicado explicar que ahora no te puedo dar el reporte de los 30 días, tienen que ser los 28 últimos, ¿no sabes?
Sí, es un lío. Y el
cliente... no veo los totales y entonces me estaba volviendo loca y Facebook Customer Service me dijo, haz el update de tus navegadores, ¿sabes? Sí. Y de tu iOS lo he hecho, pero sigue igual, sigo teniendo el mismo problema que ella. Y lo único que puedo hacer es lo que habéis comentado vosotros, pero claro, no me da un mes natural, no me da del día 1 al 30 y explicar eso.
Las 7, claro, ahora lo entiendo porque esto no me coincide los montos con el ROA final que me da.
Sí,
solo me está mostrando los últimos 7 días, eso es.
Si coges esta ventana de atribución que hemos cogido ahí, sí.
Perfecto. Ya. No quieren hacer el trabajo más fácil los de Facebook.
Hay una cosa más que quiero ver, simplemente por haberlo visto. Can you enter the campaign that has value optimization, please? Because that's the reason, because Alberto explained it really well. The reason it doesn't show up the totals is because they have different attribution windows. Then it's like mixed values. Like for example, if you optimize a campaign on add to cart, another one on purchase, and then in the results, you also have like mixed values. So what I would like to see is, sí, la misma. Me gusta el nombre, la de full funnel. Me gusta. Pues, ¿cuál es la que tienes? The
one that is selected. Conversion Abril
Okay.
2020.
Perfect. Select this one. Click on it. Go into the and then select whatever ad set and edit it. Okay. Bueno, no, editamos.
Editar. Give me a second. I have
Sí, editar
the one that is value.
Sí, exacto. Vas a editar.
Sorry, my computer is freaking out. There we go.
Okay. Exacto. Y aquí abajo de todo, miremos si, porque este es el único sitio donde se puede cambiar la ventana de atribución, pero me temo de que no te deja. Si vas aquí a la derecha a editar. Sí, ¿ves? Esta es la putada con lo de value, ¿no? ¿No?
That's the problem with the value one. So I can't like compare with my other attribution settings ads. I can't compare, like you're comparing pears with apples, so it doesn't allow you to do it like a report.
Sí.
But I like the solution of filtering there the columns, but yes, you can see all the month. It only shows 7 days, so it's kind of not the best solution. But
completely agree. The thing is, so what gives me some hope is that, like, I mean, we're having some issues now, like also Amaya, when presenting the results to the client, like we're having some pretty decent issues now, but the ones who have really big problems are Facebook. Like they have to find a solution or they're gonna lose millions and millions of dollars each day. So I'm at least my hope is still there that they're gonna solve all of that soon.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's give the word to Alberto, because Alberto was also so friendly to help us with the issue. So Alberto, ¿cómo te podemos ayudar?
Pues yo tenía dos preguntas. Una, hemos hablado todo el tiempo de cómo afecta a las cuentas publicitarias, las ventanas de atribución, pero no he leído en ningún sitio, y también me he tirado horas leyendo, cómo afecta a Facebook Attribution. ¿También se reduce a 7 días la ventana máxima? No he conseguido leer nada sobre eso. Y la segunda es más una opinión, pedirte una opinión, que es, seguro que algún cliente te ocurre que tiene distintos subdominios y cada uno utiliza un píxel distinto. Por ejemplo, el típico para España es.dominio.com, para Francia fr.dominio.com, y cada uno tiene su píxel, su cuenta publicitaria. Claro, ahora hay que elegir. ¿Cómo eliges el dominio con el que vas a medir las conversiones cuando cada uno de esos tiene un histórico, y un histórico bueno, malo, regular? Supongamos que todos lo tienen bueno. ¿Cómo lo eliges?
Sí. It's not easy. Alejandro, you're laughing. How would you do it? ¿Cómo lo harías?
Oh man, I just thought about it. The thing, a lo que me dice usted, uy, bomb, no sé, de verdad.
Sí, es difícil.
De verdad, es difícil.
How would you do it, Alberto? How would you prioritize for the one that has the most data and go for that one?
Claro.
No hay otra.
Tengo ese problema con un cliente que tiene unas políticas internas difíciles, entonces me está costando. Hay peleas entre departamentos, el de México no quiere que el píxel sea el de España. Bueno, las peleas más o menos lógicas.
Sí.
Es un callejón un poco, pero elegir un píxel que centralice la medición de compras o de leads o de conversiones, y para públicos de remarketing lookalikes se pueden seguir utilizando todos los píxeles, porque esta limitación es para la medición de resultados, o más que la medición, para la optimización de resultados.
Eso, que todas tus campañas, todos tus ad sets, all of your campaigns and ad sets, especially ad sets obviously, that are conversion campaigns that optimize for an event, which is not one of these 8 events, it's going to be deactivated. So actually what you said is really true. So I mean, you can still retarget and do stuff. You simply cannot optimize for these events. So there you have the solution. Unfortunately, you have to prioritize one. You can also share. That's but that's something maybe that you should consider, because I had to do this in my account. So I have 2 accounts mainly, one for my Ads Accelerator course and one for the academy mainly. And the one pixel has already a lot of data. The other one has also quite some data and stuff, but it's only verified. So to the verified domain, only one pixel is connected. So for the second ad account, I shared the original pixel. Maybe that's also a variable that you should include in the solution. So as you said, prioritize the first one. You can still retarget the other ones, and then share also the first one with the other ad accounts. Might be the best solution right now. Y no es óptimo, pero es lo mejor que hay.
Gracias.
A ti. You're talking about Facebook attribution. I also thought about that actually quite a lot, and I double checked it yesterday, and it's still all the long ones are there in this second. That's the only thing I can tell you. Like, if you're interested, you have access to Facebook attribution, go inside it, and right now it looks the same as it looked 2 months ago. So 90 days attribution and everything. In this second, it's that. And if you ask Facebook, they like my account manager also no lo sabe. So she would say something like, it might disappear. No saben. So right now it's there. That's the only thing I can tell you. Let's do one last question, because it's also after 7, and I'm gonna send you, as I promised, obviously the replay afterwards by email. Leonora and Jor, you both have your hands. Actually, let's do both questions. Sorry for letting you wait, but let's start with Leonora, because we're gentlemen. Jor, ¿sí o no? We're gentlemen. So Leonora, how can we help you?
Thank you very much. And it's going to be a very short question, very easy to answer for sure for you. And it's more an opinion, because my website is with Wix, and I don't know if you're aware, but they are offering now the possibility to do your ads through them, the Facebook ads through Wix. So what's your opinion about that, and how do you think they will perform?
Yeah, I've never tried it, to be 100% honest. Like, I've never did ads through Wix. I assume that it's just going to basically, like, they're doing the ads very well. Basically, they have an interface which makes it easier. Like, there are tons of great interfaces, like also Magix from a good friend of mine, Jaraf Hartmann from Israel, lives in Vienna and stuff. So there are many great tools which have really cool interfaces, which are more user-friendly. At the end, they also use the same engine, so to say. So what I personally, you asked my opinion, my personal opinion is, I got used to how the ads manager works, and I'm pretty much familiarized with it. It somehow feels intuitive to me already now. So for me, there would be like 0 added value of doing it inside, because there is no added value. Like, they're not going to have some real bit optimization or anything. So it's just a different interface. It just looks, I assume that it looks more, like, I haven't seen it from the inside, but I assume that it looks more easy. It looks easier to use. And it might have fewer advanced options, but if you don't need them, just do it. Like, at the end, it's the same engine. It's,
they will face the same issues that you are just discussing now, I guess. And I guess that one downside from doing it through them is that it would be more expensive for sure. So, exactly. But just wanted to get your opinion, and thank you so much.
You're welcome. You can definitely try it. And just on a general note, my true and very strong opinion is that all of these great ad hacks and gimmicks and campaign strategy and stuff, it's great, but there are other things that matter more, like having a great offer, having a great website, and especially having good creatives. So when it comes to Facebook and Instagram, it's like, what really matters right now is like having good videos, good images, good copies. That's what really matters. If you put these great videos inside the ads manager, you put it inside the Wix manager, so to say, it's gonna be the same, more or less. Focus on having a great offer, great website, and good creatives.
Got you. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Last question. Are you with us? Your cast.
Yeah, I'm here. It's a very simple question, and basically it's about the method to the domain verification. And you said that you could use the meta tag, but indeed with meta tag you could use the Google Tag Manager, or it has to be pasted in the website?
It's a really good question, and I haven't done it with the Tag Manager. So it's like today, this morning, I spent 2 hours inside Tag Manager for setting up things for Google Ads, so for search ads and stuff. And first thing, I have 2 colleagues in my mastermind, in the German one, who said it didn't work with Tag Manager. Okay, I don't know exactly why, but they told me it didn't work there. Both of them tried, and both of them are really smart, and it didn't work for them. Me, myself, I just copied this text here and put it into the header of my page, and it worked easily. So there are 2 things. Either you try it with Tag Manager, and if it didn't work, like stupid thing, but you need to refresh here that it shows green and not red anymore. That's like, could be also this. And if not, the same way that you install Tag Manager in your website, you had to implement this container at one point of time, right? The same way that you installed the Tag Manager. So I would just do that to be 100% safe. So I would just go there exactly where you installed the Tag Manager inside the code of your website and just copy paste the snippet there. Then it's going to work like 100% for sure.
Okay, perfect. Well, the only thing is to talk about with the developers in that case, no? But it's the only problem that.
but for someone who has access to the code, so to say, it's honestly like taking the snippet, copy it, and paste it, and save. That's it. And in the header, which is also the highest front of the code, So they're gonna be fine.
Okay, perfect. Thanks a lot.
You're more than welcome. Leonora, do you have one more question or not? Or is it just like this? If not, guys, I would say all good?
No, yeah, all good for me.
Nice. Wonderful. Guys, muchas gracias por haber estado aquí. Josefa, me gusta que hayas activado la cámara. Aún mejor. Que vaya muy bien. Chicos, thank you very much for participating. As promised, you're going to receive the replay. Also a little summary. I wish you all the best and see you soon. Nos vemos.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank
Un
you.
abrazo. Chao,
Thanks
chao.
a lot.
Chao, chao.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Chao.
Bye, bye.
Que vaya bien. Thanks, Andreas.
Thank you.
Servus,
Appreciate
Gernot.
it.
Danke, tschüss.
Servus. Macht's gut. Adios. Que vaya bien, chicos. Chao, chao.